And welcome here to Yankee Stadium. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washett. We're here for Husker Online Postgame Live, Pinstripe Bowl edition as Nebraska wins its first bowl game since 2015. They have their first winning season since 2016 as the Huskers beat Boston College. And we're going to get into the matchup. We're going to get into your super chats and comments. But before we get to that, Husker Online Postgame Live, again, is brought to you by our official postgame beverage sponsor, Zipline. And a lot of you watched and some of you joined here that were here. We had a great event Friday night, capacity crowd at the Brazen Tavern for our Zipline event. And they are, again, our postgame beverage sponsor here, as we hope you are back in Nebraska somewhere enjoying a Zipline, Sipple's favorite, a Zip Light.
I like the Zip Light.
Watching Husker Online Postgame Live, remembering this bowl win, guys. And look, it's so easy to get critical about some of the moments we saw in special teams, but sometimes you got to take a few steps back and realize we have not been in a situation like this where Nebraska wins a bowl game to finish a season since 2015.
2015, that was the Foster Farms Bowl. Nebraska beat UCLA that night, that glorious night in Levi's Stadium. This is significant. I just want to say something about the bowl week too. This was an excellent. I mean, if you just pull back, we'll get to the breakdown of the game. Pull back and just look at the week. I mean, look at our day we had Thursday at Fordham University, back covering a bowl game, back talking to young players, new coaches, seen a practice, understanding what Nebraska players experienced this week, practicing at the Giants complex, going to a Knicks game, seeing the 9/11 memorial, which Matt Rule said brought together his team, then culminating with a victory. It is very meaningful. Mm-hmm. And this program needed a win. 7-6. This is the first winning season Nebraska's had since 2016. It is, Rob, the first winning season since 2016.
Yeah, it's first winning season and the first time they've gone into an off season with tangible success, that you've not only gone to a bowl, you not only finished with 6 wins, you finished with 7, and you got a bowl win. And that type of offseason momentum is something that can be a defining part of your entire offseason, not just for the returning players and just the confidence you gain from that and winning on a stage like this, but also helps you in recruiting, to where these coaches now can go to portal recruits and high school recruits for the future and be like, hey, look, we took a step forward last year. Yep. If you join on, think of what we could do in year 3. And so this is something that a Nebraska coaching staff and a Nebraska returning roster has not had on their side in far too long. And I cannot overstate the importance of that, just for the entire feel of the offseason, how different going into 2025 is going to be compared to the last 9 off seasons we've had.
Yeah, it was interesting. The last question Matt Rule got was just the difference between 6-7 and 7-6 and what it means. And Matt Rule said, I don't even want to think about it, because at a place,
right? I didn't hear that.
You left.
Yeah.
That was like the last question Andy Kendi asked him in the final minutes of that press conference. And because he's like, I don't want to think about it because there's a significant difference, especially at a place like Nebraska or Oklahoma or a bigger blue blood. I mean, how would you like to be in Norman, Oklahoma right now? They lost to Navy in a bowl game and they were 6-6. And all of a sudden their whole offseason probably takes a different feel. But for Nebraska, we saw them run the ball well enough. 130 sack adjust rush yards. The running backs had 25 carries for 130 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. A very solid game, efficient game for what this game was. But on the flip side, the rushing defense, and I wrote this on my 3-2-1 prediction Thursday, that Nebraska would hold Boston College under 100 yards rushing. And that was kind of the key.
What was it?
Boston College had 47 rushing yards in the game, 64 sack adjust rush yards, and the sacks brought it down to 47. But they only averaged 1.9 yards per carry on 14 first down running plays. And most importantly, they were 0-4 on 4th downs, which Matt Rule knew was going to be a thing that they would come out with.
Good call, Sean. Good pat on the back.
It was kind of like, I mean, Boston College under 100 has, I believe it only happened maybe 1 or 2 times all year.
Yeah. No, it was good. That's a good call. And I know you expected, I'll speak for you. You probably expected it because Nash and Ty are still around it, because Cam Lenhart can play. no Jamari Butler, no Mekhi Bayer, but those guys up front. So you're talking about Nash, Hutmacher, Ty Robinson, Cam Lenhart, Van Poppel, who else? Keona Davis, thank you.
Jordan Ochoa. How about,
Jordan Ochoa. Now,
Connor Keneally.
Yeah, but come on, keep it with the main guys. Bullock had a big game again. There's some guys that came in filler roles, but the main guys were the main guys.
Shavers really flashed.
Vincent Shavers flashed big time. What do you have, Rob? 5 tackles in the first half?
Yeah, 5 in the first half, 6 for the game. 2 tackles for loss, a sack, and a forced fumble, all of which were career highs for the freshman.
Sean, they had some. Javin Wright had 8 tackles. Javin Wright had 8 tackles. Those guys, the main dudes played well. Really tip your cap to the defense. Guys, it was 20-2. And they had the game in control, and we'll get to the special teams later. But the special teams once again blows up and leaves you vulnerable. But the defense, man, it was 20-2, and at that point, Nebraska's defense had held Boston College. What was the stat you said, Rob? 5 trips inside the 35 of Nebraska, 0 points.
0 points.
4 fourth down stops, including 2 inside the 10. That's serious defense. Serious defense, Sean. Serious.
And another positive too is not only did the guys you expect to play well, like the veterans, step up and make big plays, but the amount of young guys, like you mentioned Shavers, but how about Willis McGahee as well? How about
Donovan
Jones, who spent most of the season as safety, suddenly is a fixture at cornerback in the bowl game. And he looked like a freshman at times, but I thought overall he held his own. And there's pieces like that. Look on offense where, Emmett Johnson, again, had one of his best all-around games. He led the team in all-purpose yards, had basically the winning touchdown on the reception, 13-yarder late in third quarter. And then Ja'Cory Barney tied J.D. Spielman for the Nebraska freshman single-season receptions record with 55. So, they are losing a lot, and a lot of those big players were important today. But I also thought that this was just as critical for the young pieces that are returning next season that all stepped up and made big-time plays, winning plays on both sides of the ball.
Well, we're not mentioning the key one, right? We had
Dylan.
Raiola overcomes an early interception, made 2 big plays where he tucked the ball on that final drive, and got it done. So, you got your quarterback, and he's a freshman.
Drew a 15-yard penalty as well. And that was the game. I go back to that USC game, Jada Maeva, when they needed him to kind of make plays to finish Nebraska off, Maeva pulled it and he ran. Right. And we saw Raiola do
100,
that.
Sean.
And in the post game, Raiola said that those weren't actually really supposed to be his runs, but he recognized it and just pulled it and took it. It's a good sign. You've got it. All the great, like Josh Allen, all the great ones, they pull it and run it when you have to win the game.
What about that guy?
He can't slide a yard short of a first down on third down. But he tucked that first run that drew the penalty. That was all his call. Like it wasn't supposed to be. He was supposed to hand it off, but he recognized the defense and ended up. And even if without the penalty, it was still a 5-yard run on first down. So it would have been 2nd and 5 and in a great position to help put that game away. And I think he also he showed a little bit of football IQ too, where I know people don't like the rule, but that late slide rule is an effective tool for quarterbacks at all levels. And he timed that slide perfectly. He was able to draw the foul. And like you said, it extended the drive and helped Nebraska seal the win. All
right. Well, we got some super chats to get to, but before we get into that, Husker Online postgame live, again, brought to you by our postgame beverage sponsor, Zipline, and also Ellerbrock-Norris. They've been helping Nebraska business owners protect their purpose for over 120 years with risk management solutions built for local businesses. Ellerbrock-Norris partners with you on commercial group benefits, business exit planning, safety, and more. Start thinking long-term with your business and create a risk management strategy to protect it. Are your employee benefit costs going through the roof? Talk to Ellerbrock. Are workplace injuries skyrocketing your workers' compensation costs? Talk to Ellerbrock. Hoping to retire in the next 10 years and sell the business to family, key employees, or even a friendly competitor? Talk to Ellerbrock. Ellerbrock-Norris is helping you protect your purpose, whether it's your family and your business employees in it, your life outside of work, or your future retirement goals. Head to Ellerbrock-Norris.com/HuskerOnline today to get your free risk evaluation. Thank you to Ellerbrock-Norris for sponsoring us all season long and all year long on the Husker Online show. Okay, we got about 20 super chats in the queue. So let's get into some of the discussion here.
Sean, now, Sean, gather yourself.
I need to take off my blinders.
Gather yourself, Hugh.
Hugh and Seymour.
Haywood. Hopefully he doesn't
Pease.
Gather yourself.
Never seen the last name Pease before. All right. Scott's Tots.
That's a safe.
And this is a hot, I mean,
That's
look,
a safe one, Sean.
this
I
is
think.
going to be a interesting discussion.
Oh yeah.
How does Foley still have a job is insane. Special teams almost cost this team another game. Lots of reason for optimism, but Foley is a complete joke. All right, I'm not going to get the last. That's kind of offensive there at the end. But look, 10 block kicks on the year. And I've been covering Nebraska football a long time. I've never seen a year like this before with block PATs, block punts, block field goals, snapping issues. And we pointed out the snapping things that we had heard early in the year.
Yeah.
And that had been an issue really all year. Now, Matt Rule did say we've started to address these things. They're bringing in Kevin Galick from New Hampshire, one of the best, if not the best snappers available in the portal. He's a near 90 grade on Pro Football Focus. And they're going to bring in Jack McAllister, who's a holder and a punter. Andrew Marshall is a kick and a punt returner as well from Idaho. So they are bringing in some pieces, but man, it's hard to look past what we saw this year.
Yeah. And the biggest thing for me is just the inability to fix it or adapt to it. Like it was just, they were hitting their head against the wall, trying to do the same thing over and over with the same guys. And there was no development with the long snapper situation. And it was an issue for them literally from start to finish all season long. And Nebraska, the coaching staff, Ed Foley, did nothing to fix it. And maybe it wasn't for a lack of effort, but the inability to solve such a fundamental aspect of football, snapping the football, like, and the amount of times that cost them games, or like today, nearly cost them games, is just outright inexcusable. And I fully understand people's anger and angst about that element of the game, just because there was no signs of any improvement. And even when they were just like, okay, we viewed that as like a big step forward, just because they were doing the basic operations of special teams.
Listen, the numbers, you can't just dismiss these numbers. I mean, Nebraska entered this game, guys, 116th in net punting nationally, okay? 109th in punt returns, okay? That's last in the Big Ten. They were 111th in punt return defense, okay? You see a trend here?
Oh, yeah.
99th in kickoff returns, 103rd in kick return defense. I mean, what's the defense? That's what I want to know. What is the defense?
Well,
and today it about cost them. What happened in the first half with the block PAT swung momentum. Dangerous. It was dangerous.
It was all Nebraska.
Right. It was all
7-0, and it made it 6-2 or 13-2.
13-2.
Yeah, 13-2. But it swung momentum, so it was dangerous. And then the blocked punt nearly cost them the game. So
that was Iowa all over again for
right. And you can't have that. You can't have special teams blowing games or nearly blowing games. It's elementary.
That crooked number on the block PAT run back, which I've never seen happen in Nebraska. I can't remember the last time didn't it? I'm trying to think, Sean. Where they ran it all. It happened in the Capital One Bowl.
Okay.
South Carolina did it to Nebraska.
Okay.
And that was a big moment. You get that.
That's right.
You get that crooked number on the board, and the game has a weird feel because all of a sudden it's not.
Exactly.
It's hard to get up 2 possessions. You know, just the flow of things.
Right.
Well, I'm sure you guys noticed, but Matt Rule was talking about special teams, and he said that, to quote, they're going to need a complete and total overhaul of special teams. What does that mean?
They've done it with the snapper and the punter.
So is it just personnel? Complete and total seems a little bit bigger than just bringing in
the snapper
some
and
players.
the punter. Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
That we'll see.
Well, and it goes back to the offseason, like how they weren't able to diagnose and recognize that the snapping situation wasn't up to snuff, because I would think that would be the easiest position to find somebody.
Here's what bothers me. This was what now we've done it. We're doing it. We've just lapsed into this special teams conversation after Nebraska. This is what bothers me. This should be a day where Nebraska fans are happy and they got a bowl win for the first time since 2015. And, you know, they finally got to a bowl and these seniors closed it out. They closed the game out on offense. You know, we've seen how many times we've seen the offense fail to close out wins. They got it done. The defense played very well throughout, as Sean illustrated earlier. But listen to what we got to do. That's what bothers me about it more than anything. It's not going to be a week of, man, what a step forward. We're going to have to continue to address that. It's going to be a big part of the conversation. And that's what bothers me about it.
Because there's been significant advancements with this football team.
100.
But in elementary areas like snapping, it's crazy the impact those plays had. And I don't know if it was a snap issue or a protection issue.
On the punt.
Matt Rule mentioned something about Deshaun not being in, and he normally is in, but you had to know that Boston College was coming after it.
Yeah, especially in that situation, and Nebraska's reputation for giving up block kicks. Like, that was kind of a no-brainer situation.
Yeah. So, but there was so much good in this game. There's so much good that comes out of it. I don't want that just to become the topic.
No, and if we get more on this topic, we're not going to go any more in depth because look, we celebrate the season, the win. And we can recognize that there was an issue on some special teams today. But
100.
Let's get into Patrick Schmidt. Post-game thoughts. 1, so much Levante David and Vincent Shavers Jr. Please leave Ed Foley in New York City, Lane Kiffin, tarmac style. 3, can't wait for the live show in Kansas City for the kickoff in 2025. First round's on me. Go Big Red, bangarang.
Let's go.
Hey, Vincent Shavers, guys.
How about Vincent Shavers?
He looked good.
Looked explosive, didn't he?
Right out of the gates. He blew up a play right near the goal line on the opening drive, like the very first snap, I think it was. And so a guy that just earned his black shirt during bowl practices, he played up to that new billing. And he now all of a sudden becomes a centerpiece to that defense. When you talk about like who your main guys, especially in a linebacking core that loses a lot, suddenly Vincent Shavers becomes the guy that you're saying, we know that this guy can play.
Miami, Sean. Talk about the Miami guys. McGahee, Shavers,
Yeah,
Barney, Amari Sanders. Those guys are sticking, and it's huge for Nebraska because those guys, just particularly the first 3 I mentioned, are impact players. They are impact dudes, and they want to be here, and it's huge for Nebraska.
And now we know, some of the guys that they want to build around in the future. Yes, they let the seniors have their moment, but the exited players that created these opportunities in this game to see a Donovan Jones, to see more McGahee, more Shavers, to see Keona Davis, Wilhite out there.
Yeah. We always get his name.
Well, he was that's what his name was as a recruit, but I think Keona Davis.
Sean, tell us, this is your area of expertise. Tell us about Donovan Jones a little bit.
Well, he played at Omaha North, and Nebraska liked him athletically. Then he came to the camp.
Okay.
And he ran a 4.440, and
there you go.
Ran and tested out of the water and did great in the drills, but his body's physically put together.
Right.
And, great family. In fact, my sister used to work with his dad in Omaha Public Schools.
Told you it was his area of expertise.
And they're very, very good people. And he's got a younger brother at North that is on the radar too. He's going to be a senior next year. He's a junior right now. So Donovan Jones kind of has put himself in to be a projected starter at corner.
How about that?
You got Amari Sanders, you've got Andrew Marshall now coming in.
Yeah.
You got some other options, but it seems like today, if you were doing your best guess depth chart, he might be a starting corner.
What would you say? So you have Sierra Wright coming back. You have Buford coming back.
Hartzog.
You have Hartzog coming back. You have him coming back. That gives you a pretty good idea. Oh, well, you have Charles too, Jeremiah Charles, right?
Yeah, and then that safety you have to figure out, like Caleb Benning and some of these other
Brett.
guys. Kobe Brett is coming back now.
Right.
What does that mean? Because he went in the portal and he's coming back. So is he in the conversation? It's hard to say.
What do you know about Ochoa?
Ochoa was a walk-on. He was from Colorado, and he had some offers. Did you say Elkhorn?
I think he's from Elkhorn. I swear to God, listened.
He's from Colorado.
My bad.
He came to Nebraska
Sorry,
as a walk-on from Elkhorn.
From Castle Rock, Colorado.
Castle Rock, Colorado.
Now, hold on.
He had Division I offers out of high school.
Watch me.
Hey, Ochoa grew up in Gearing, Nebraska, and his
boy.
father Rico played offensive line at Nebraska Kearney.
Oh,
Munson's a Lope.
That's what you're
My
thinking.
dad was a Lope. He played for the Lopes too. But
anyway,
Jordan Ochoa.
Ochoa comes out of nowhere, basically, right,
Yeah.
Sean? I mean, we weren't expecting.
So on Thursday's practice, we were kind of looking for new guys that were filtering into the new practice during bowl, and there's this guy number 6 sitting there, and I was like, well, that's not Tommy Hill. This guy's way bigger than Tommy Hill, and Tommy Hill's no longer with the team. And I was, who is this guy? And none of wasn't on any rosters, and no one could quite figure it out. And then, wouldn't you know it, it was Jordan Ochoa, who
Jordan Ochoa.
And Connor Keneally,
looks the
too.
part.
Connor Keneally got some snaps in the interior line, defensive. So, yeah, again, names we haven't spoken of.
All right, let's move it through here. A couple other. Oh, he wanted to know about Kansas City too. If we were going to do a show, like, look, we'll do something out there. It is kind of tricky being a Thursday night game because we probably won't go down there till Thursday morning.
God,
Yeah, good point.
think about those kids. Think about the kids in the program, Sean. They just played in Yankee Stadium. Now they're going to get ready to go to Arrowhead
And the LA Coliseum this year, and some great memories for these players. But let's go to the next super chat from Mr. Robo 007. A win is a win, no matter how ugly. Does this become a jumping point for Nebraska to finally win one-score games? And look, that was to me the take today.
Okay,
they were in a situation in a one-score game where they finished it. They didn't give the ball back to Boston College, and we've been there, done that. We own the T-shirt and the bumper sticker. We've seen Nebraska in these one-score games give the ball back.
Yep,
and they have been about as bad as any team in the country in those moments.
Yeah, 4th and 1. They needed to get a first down to win the game. If they would get the first down, they can kneel out the rest of the clock going out of the 2-minute warning. And it came down to one play.
4th and 1.
They put in Ty Robinson as a fullback, give it to Ramir Johnson, and those two seniors paved the way for an 11-yard run. First down, game over.
Bam.
When was the last time Nebraska had a chance to win it, and they went out and made the play to win it?
God, you feel good for those. I mean, first of all, those two guys you mentioned, Ramir.
Especially Ramir.
Yeah, and Ty. I mean, Ty, Sean, we've talked about it this week. Robinson doesn't opt out. Nash doesn't opt out. These guys don't opt out. In fact, we thought maybe they wouldn't play late. Who's in the last series? Series, but Ty Robinson on offense. That means something to me if I'm an NFL scout, if I'm an NFL personnel man, that he didn't opt out. He kept playing.
Like those Boston College guys, like, I don't know. I get it. They're thinking about their future, but why not just play one more game?
Sean, I don't know.
Jake Butt did it and blew out his knee and ended his entire career. That's why.
I get it.
He hurt his late knee in a bowl game.
The 1 in 1,000.
Well, if you're that 1 in 1,000, your career's over. It means something.
I choose to hail the guys that play. That's what I do.
And Ty Robinson's different because he's not a bona fide first-round draft pick. Matt Rule thinks he could be a first-round draft pick, but like the difference between Boston College's guy, like he's a surefire first-round.
But you can find guys like that, like Myles Garrett. He played in the bowl game for Texas A&M.
I mean, Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter
100,
playing.
100.
Well, I mean, all
hail
the players,
those guys.
I get it.
And all the players back in the day played. So why are the players now better than the players back in the day? That's what I mean. We'll get going on that. But
I just choose to hail those guys because those are the dudes you want. I mean, those are the dudes I want by my side in that situation. They don't turn their back.
And we never talked about Ramir either. So Matt Rule, after the game, announced that Ramir's mother passed away in November. She'd been dealing an illness of some sort for a while, and she passed in November. And Rule was trying to convince Ramir to go back home. It's like, hey, man, just step away from football. Take care of your family. Go be with them. And Ramir went back over the bye week, but that was it. He wanted to be around his team because, one, he felt like he had a job to finish here. And then also that he loves Nebraska. He loves his team. He loves everything about the program. And he wanted to finish this thing out the right way. So you want to talk about a guy that embodies everything that Nebraska football is supposed to be about. Ramir Johnson's at the top of that.
And talk about Ramir Johnson. Those coaches on the previous staff would sing his praises so much that he would do anything. Sean, ask him to play special. He wanted to play special teams. You didn't have to ask him. Ramir Johnson. This was a great story. Sean, you're going to say he's from Harlem, and he's from Harlem. That makes it a great story. He's the MVP. He's holding that trophy at the end of a game. It's a tremendous story.
Well, and Matt Rule shared this nugget too. And we had Dr. Jeffrey Gold on Big Red Wrap Up, and he told us a story, but didn't get into the specifics that there was a player on the team who, needed some medical personal advice, and Coach Rule called Dr. Jeffrey Gold. Well, now we know that was Ramir Johnson.
Okay.
And he literally went to the chancellor or the president of the University of Nebraska, who's a former cardiac surgeon, one of the more respected medical experts in the country, on behalf of his player. I mean, that tells you how much Matt Rule cares for his guys, that, hey, he goes, I'm going to go right to Dr. Gold because he's going to know how to help your mom in New York City. Because Matt Rule's a New York City native. Dr. Gold's actually a New York City native as well. And Ramir Johnson. So I thought that was kind of a really telling story. But let's move in. I always call him Bangarang because I like that better than I can't even pronounce what the name is. But I'm gonna Bontrang. But you're Bangarang on Husker Online show. I'm a little shocked that some of the younger offensive linemen didn't play. Offensive line is not a position where you sub a lot. And there's this misnomer in the 90s that Nebraska subbed a lot. They played a lot of guys because they blew people out.
Yeah, when you're up 40, it's easy to rotate.
Exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't get too caught up in that.
Like who did people want to see play? Who would you put in? Like what?
Well, Sledge.
Yeah,
like,
for the freshman.
You're not going to do that to Ben
Redshirt
Scott.
freshman.
No, I'm not Sean. I'm not advocating for it. I'm just trying to think of some young guys who else you'd play. Like Brock Newton materialized on the depth chart late in the season as the number
Jacob
2.
Hood's gone.
Yeah. No, Sean. Don't.
Tyler Knack is hurt.
That was Knack hurt. Okay.
Yeah. So the cupboard is pretty limited.
Yeah, they got to build depth.
And they never got a big enough lead.
Hey, Sean, that's why. What did we spend the last 2 weeks doing? Wondering who they're going to get out of the transfer portal.
And we don't know yet.
At tackle, right?
All right. Before we get into the next super chats, HuskerOnline postgame live. Thanks for joining us. Again, we're brought to you by Zipline. They are the official postgame beverage sponsor. I cannot wait, guys, to get back Sunday and crack open a Zipline
For lunch.
At Pinnacle Bank Arena, they do carry Zipline at PBA now too.
Do they?
The ale, the Cornhusker ale.
Well, we had a hell of a good time here.
For the Nebraska. So we will get back, but we're also brought to you by Vintage Custom Homes. And, holidays are over. You're thinking about, hey, what can we do next in our life? Interest rates are coming down. You want to either maybe possibly relocate, do a new build, or even a remodel. Or, we got some extra land that we want to build on. Let's build a barn dominium. Well, Vintage Custom Homes does all of that. They are not just an elite home builder. They service not just Omaha. They're based in Gretna, but they service everywhere. They go into Iowa. They go into Western Nebraska. They have builds all over the place, and they do things the right way. This is high-end custom work. You can see for yourself here on their website and their pictures that we're showing you. Go to their website at vintagecustomhomesne.com. That's vintagecustomhomesne.com to learn more about their work. Tell them that Husker Online sent you their way, as they are going to do the job right for you. Thanks again to Vintage Custom Homes for sponsoring us all season long on the Husker Online show. Okay, Norma.
Wait,
I'm just gonna say Norma. Is that a trick? Is that a trap? It feels like a trap.
Which one is it?
Right here.
Yes. No. Don't say
Norma.
It. Don't say it. Norma.
Oh God. Let's go. Good start to the offseason. Norma, and
good catch.
You know how you catch the trolls?
I can't.
$1.99.
I'm having a trouble
because usually like a dedicated fan. I mean, I'm not asking for money from fans, but
you got it.
But
right.
if you just do a $1.99 one, odds are that's a trap. And so you're giving yourself up. All right, let's go to
good job, Sean. You're getting better.
Red Shadow. First time poster, long time listener. Love what you guys do. Can we all agree that special teams has almost been the main problem this year and almost cost us the game? Yes. Agree.
The offense still needs work, right?
Yeah.
Finishing drives. I feel like they were really good between the 20s.
Yep.
And then sometimes their play selection, like,
yeah,
they're on the 5-yard line, second down.
Okay, there you go. Stop on that one.
You go to Ja'Cory Barney and you miss him.
Yeah. I thought that was, now I heard some feedback on that on Twitter. So they had first and goal at the 9. I think they got a 4-yard gain. So they had second and goal at the 5. And I just thought, how about just run it twice and get in the end zone and close the game out? I thought that was a low percentage pass to Barney.
It was a tough throw.
Yeah.
It was there, but it needed to be perfect. And the route wasn't perfect, and the throw wasn't where Barney was.
And then they threw to Banks in the end zone.
Was it tipped? I can't remember.
I think the ball got deflected a little bit. I think he still should have made that
very
catch.
Well could have been caught.
So you have to be fair. Like, you got to be fair to Dana in that regard. He could say, if he's listening, well, wait a second. The dude Banks should have caught that.
Had 2 guys open in the end zone, just didn't make the throw.
Right. Now, what I still say is, I mean, when you pass, a lot can go wrong. Mm-hmm. When you run, fewer things go wrong. Now, they did not have Dowdell.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Because Dowdell,
that's important.
Dowdell's now at Kentucky. Now, Dowdell was great inside the 5, but Emmett and Ramir are both tough dudes who will find the end zone. I just thought, like Sean said, how about run it 3 times? You could run it on 4th down.
Or 4 times.
I mean, right. I mean, I think you can outthink yourself in that situation.
Yeah, that 2nd down throw to Barney, it just didn't feel like a high percentage.
No, I didn't think so either, Sean.
Read there. But all right, let's go into Eileen. And I'm not going to, I don't know what that, I feel like I'm in a trap there too, but I'm not going to fall for it.
No, I think you're okay there.
Wait, no, don't say that one.
Thank you, Robin, for your name fact checking. Don't think I've heard this many freshman names being called in a Husker game.
Later.
Great end to the season and excited for the future. Thanks,
Good.
Eileen. All right.
Yeah, I think that Nebraska fans should be excited. I think so, right? What is so funny?
Just laughed at the name.
I think
Yes, they should.
I mean, I understand why some are pouring cold water on this. I understand it to a point, but there's so much, like I wrote. I mean, there's so much of this is a pleasant conversation. It's a pleasant conversation for the most part. That's what I would say.
All right, let's move it down the line here. Our next super chat from Red Shadow. Heard this from a different show, live session. Winning 2015 was our first bowl win since 2015. Yep, and that is how we led off this show as well, as significant in that sense. I mean, I just think about what the last 8 years has been like for Nebraska, not being in a bowl, not winning a bowl since 2015, 9 seasons ago. So a lot of things happened this year for Nebraska, and they were 7 wins, and they were very, very close to being a 9-10 type of win team.
Yeah,
if they could address some of their flaws.
Absolutely.
And the irony too of the final score being 20-15, breaking the bowl win drought from 2015.
Okay, now, this is the thing that means the most to me. I've really emphasized that in Rule's first season, they lost their final 4 games, 0-4 down the stretch. This year, they were 1-5 to close the season. That he has to figure out how to get his team playing its best late.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it means the most. And if you look at next year's schedule, it's rough in November. You better be playing. You better be hitting on all cylinders in November. The best programs are doing that.
Mm-hmm.
They keep getting better. And Nebraska hasn't done that. But this was a good step in the right direction. Nebraska had this team down 20-2. 20-2. It was kind of dominating the game. And let's face it, Nebraska was in control most of this game. So it's just like Sean. That's why those special teams are such a pain in the ass,
because they're swing plays. They
change games.
They completely turn everything. And the Emma Johnson fumble was a big play, but the defense overcame that.
Right.
And that was just a good hit. I mean,
God, that was a vicious hit.
You can't be too critical
No.
because he got hit like 3 ways on that play.
It was a vicious
carrying
hit.
a wet ball, and he got whacked by a really physical defense. Like, it happens.
All right, the big meatball. Winning season. Was it surprising that a guy like Donovan Jones, who wasn't on the depth chart for the bowl game, played every snap? Go Big Red. And
every snap.
I'm not sure.
So the projected starter was it Malcolm Hartsock?
Yeah,
and he came in and left with injury, correct?
Well, he on that play, he landed on his shoulder and was down for a while, and I don't know if he came back in, but he did get hurt and had to leave the game.
And speaking of Donovan Jones, I mentioned his brother, Darian Jones, Omaha North. He was just offered today by New Mexico.
Okay.
By our old friend Dan Jackson.
Okay.
And he's now the defensive coordinator for Jason Eck, former Wisconsin Badger, at New Mexico.
Okay.
And they just got the job. But yeah, his brother is a name to watch. I'll throw that out there. Darian Jones, the brother of Donovan Jones. Kurt Peterson. The best place to be post-game is right here with Robin, Sip, and Sean. Gentlemen, a bowl win caps a winning season. A hell of a lot to like. This may be a bigger moment than we think in NU history for the future. And you think about what New York City, what Yankee Stadium means in the history of Nebraska football. We'll go back to 1962. That was the program's first bowl win. And that appearance here also snapped an 8-year gap between bowl appearances when Nebraska played in the Orange Bowl. And I believe it was the 54 season. They played in the Orange Bowl versus Duke. And then they didn't play in a bowl game again until Yankee Stadium. Well, here we are, 8-year gap again.
Interesting.
Nebraska wins in Yankee Stadium. Very similar to kind of the 62 gap between 54 season.
It still freaks me out. We're sitting here in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, we're sitting in the we're sitting in the Yankees play-by-play booth.
Mm-hmm.
So
pretty good view.
Yeah, and I've listened to a lot of John Sterling. I don't know if you know the former player.
I don't know who John Sterling is.
The pitch. Yankees win. The Yankees win. I mean, I wonder if, it was kind of cool. Lane Grindle.
It's good, Sean.
Well, I lived in Connecticut, so I listened to a lot of Yankees games one summer. But Lane Grindle called the game for Greg Sharp today.
Okay.
And
I didn't know that.
He's called a lot of Brewers games in this very box.
Wow.
He said it was a hell of a lot harder because it's a straight on end zone view that they called this game from behind home plate. They had to look at the scoreboard, but we're thinking of Greg Sharp, and our prayers are with Greg, and Lane was going back to Lincoln to spend time with Greg. So once again, Greg is a warrior, and no better man, and I know this win had to be special for Greg as well.
Yep, we love you, Greg.
Yeah.
All right, let's move it in to Barry. Go Big Red from Gibbon. I knew we would beat them.
Good save on that one.
Hey,
too.
Barry, I didn't. $1.99 Bandit coming in again. If you're gonna be funny, don't be cheap about it because I'm gonna catch you.
Yeah, if you spend enough, maybe
you're doing good,
Sean will
Sean.
say it.
You're getting.
Yeah,
The $1.99 Bandit
It took you to the bowl game, but good job.
All right, Go Big Ready, the voice of TikTok for Husker Nation, our friend Go Big Ready.
Okay.
You've seen his TikToks, have you?
Yes. I have.
We did it, Sean. We did it, Robin. Get that margarita to sip. We did it. Simple is kind of transitioning to old fashions.
I you know what? I am whiskey and old fashions. Maybe a late in life deal.
Switch up.
it's a seasonal thing too. Maybe you go with the
Yes, Rob.
whiskeys in the winter and the
Right.
margs in the summer.
Right. The whiskeys tend to kind of clear you up, which I like.
Yeah, it's a cough syrup
It's
almost.
medicinal.
Yeah. I'll have one tonight. Can we have one tonight?
Sure.
Yeah, we've got to figure it out. I don't think our hotel has an operating bar.
What?
It's under renovation.
Oh, for God's sake.
We'll figure it out.
We'll
All
figure
right.
something out.
This is a Zappio dumbass. One of our.
That's okay. He's
yeah.
good.
He's been around.
That's not offensive.
I feel cleansed of the past 8 years. It's like having a hot shower after a weekend of camping. Great job. Go Big Red. And please get a new special teams coach.
A hot shower after a weekend of camping. That's a
good
wonderful analogy, Sean.
That's a Sean analogy.
You're usually the king of analogies, but Zap your dumbass has surpassed you.
It's like a clean shave after you didn't shave after a week.
Yeah. Clean. Yes. God, that feels, you're right. Barbasol, Sean, feels good.
Or when you like hold out on your razors and, like the expensive, like triple razors and
Yeah.
you finally, like, all right, it's time to switch that new razor. Does that
God,
new
it feels so
It's
good.
got the gel all on it.
Yeah.
Sharp.
Yeah.
Caden, I'm going to come in. And I don't know if I'm being trapped there, but I'm just going to go with Caden. Bolwin, top 20 high school recruiting class, top 10 transfer portal class this offseason will be the best that we've seen in years. Go Big Red. And I'm contemplating making an offseason national championship shirt. I think
Nebraska's well on its way.
I think we need to maybe come up with
What are
one.
you talking about? Because Nebraska's always good in the offseason.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they've added some key additions on offense. I think the offense, there's a lot of reason to be excited. They still got to add a tackle or two, though. I mean, that's something to what. That's why you should follow us in January. And I tell you what, they have a couple tackles that they have in mind here that I think they're still in play for.
And winning this game helps.
I would think so.
This portal stuff is just getting started.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you got teams that are still playing bowls, and then every team that loses has.
I don't know if it's just getting
5 days.
started, Rob. They got 11 guys.
Well, okay. I'm just saying in general.
Well, they gotta
because
get
there's
11
going to be players on really good teams that enter the portal.
And there's a lot of tampering,
Yes.
a lot of contact being made everywhere, and there's no stopping it. I mean, no one likes it, but that's what's going on.
100.
Tanner, Dana and the new wide receivers will improve NU's passing game next year, but I'm concerned the 2025 rushing game will regress further. Only one returning running back, a non-mobile QB, and a new O-line.
Hey,
How does it improve?
Hey, that is a valid point that I need to write about. I see. I have been saying, guys, I think they need another running back. Now, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of momentum. Sean, is there any momentum toward that at all? John?
There's no offers out that we know of, and there were no running back visitors. That
I just
came to
don't know if
campus.
they got enough firepower at running back right now.
Jamarion Parker, we don't know enough about him,
Hmm.
but you would like to hope that good freshmen can help.
Hey, Quentin Ives scored a touchdown today.
Ives is gigantic in the conversation. I mean,
Matt Rule continuously insists that he's good and that he's somebody that they're going to try to build around.
And he grew up about 90 minutes from here in Beverly, New Jersey, which is closer to Philly. So
I think you need one more.
Let's go to Levi. I am so happy for Ramir to get a hometown MVP and finish with 1,000 yards career rushing at Nebraska.
Oh my God.
Needed 60, got 60 after all he's been through the last 6 years. And Matt Rule said, I hope Ramir rides home in his pads in the subway with the trophy, because he will leave this game with his family on the subway, is my understanding.
Rule does a lot of cool stuff. You have to give him credit for it. He gets Ramir the ball, gets him in the end zone, gets Quentin Ives of Beverly, New Jersey, the ball in the end zone. Cam Lenhart had a tackle behind the line of scrimmage today. Cam's from this. Where's he from, Sean? He's from
the area here.
From the area. I love that. I mean, I love that these kids came back here, these guys that are from this area, and had big days.
You know what else is cool about Ramir is Boston College was the first school that offered him out of high school.
Wow.
He mentioned that. And then his like Pop Warner football team or youth football team was in attendance. Like the current players of the team that he played on when he was a kid here in New York City were all in the stands wearing their uniforms. So like this was a really, really special day for him. And for him to have that type of performance on this stage and what that meant for his team, it is a storybook situation.
And it is nuts when you think about, I mean, we're from Lincoln, Nebraska, and there's this many connections to New York City within the program. I mean, from the president of the university who grew up here in the city to the head football coach, to the running back who was named MVP, to the defensive end that got a keys tackle for loss.
To Quentin Ives.
And I mean, you go back to the history of New Jersey that started really with Frank Solich coming out here. And he landed basically 2 number 1 draft picks, Irving Fryer and Mike Rozier from this part of the country. Got the Peter brothers here, got Doug Coleman. I mean, there is this great history for Nebraska.
That's a great point, Sean.
In New York City and New Jersey over the last 40, 50 plus years of Nebraska.
Shout out to Frank, because Frank, I mean, you're exactly right.
He started the New Jersey recruiting.
Frank got it going.
Got Jamal Lord too from Bayonne, New Jersey,
right
across the river.
Go back to Mike Kroll from he was from Sudbury, Massachusetts. Kroll was a great rush in for Nebraska. Frank went and got him out east. But yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Now, what did you say about Ramir? Who his Pop Warner team was here?
Yeah, so there was a team, like a bunch of kids wearing, I can't remember, they were like the Mo Better football team or something like that. They acknowledged them on the big screen.
The kids,
but
they're on the current.
That was the team that Ramir played on when he was a kid.
Oh God, that is unbelievably
super cool. Super cool.
Yeah, I'm happy because I, as I said earlier in the show, guys, those coaches like Bill Bush on the other staff, they had always so much. I mean, so many good things to say about Ramir. He's obviously a great team player. And I love the fact that he did not want to make it about himself.
Yeah, he said, I didn't want to be a distraction after his mom.
Do you know how beautiful that sounds in this day and age? That a guy just wanted it to be about the team. You can't have enough Ramir Johnson.
Well, and think about Ramir. I'm sure he's like, my mom would have wanted me out here playing in New York City.
I bet she would have too.
At Yankee Stadium to honor her and
100, Sean.
You know, and the family. I mean, for the family, I'm sure it offered kind of great closure to what's been a very tough time.
Oh, it'd be a horrifying time. And you're right, though. God, to have him out there fighting and then get the 4th and 1 to close out the game. My God. That's why I have a hard time.
Game. Yeah. Jared, all right, let's go to Jared. Thanks for all you guys do all year long.
God bless you.
Beyond the possible special teams changes, what other personnel or program changes do you anticipate leading into 2025? Look, it's so hard with personnel because now you can have unlimited coaches, meaning, you know, there's a realistic scenario that Marcus Satterfield is still on the staff next year, even not as the offensive coordinator, because he is under contract to make $1.4 million no matter what. And, you know, you can be really flexible with your staff with these new coaching rules. So
can we say about Satterfield, how much better did the tight ends get when he became solely the tight ends coach? I mean, Luke Lindenmeyer just took off.
Well, how about the block that Heinrich Harburg made on one of the early runs?
Harburg's a player, boys. I mean, he's a player.
And
he looks good in that role.
Yeah.
I'm happy Nate Borkature got a spot at A&M and is going to, but they were just fine. You know, and Daniel Holgerson said that. He goes, we'll replace guys if they move on.
Oh, he said 87. He just referred to him as 87 when it decided to do other things.
Yeah, go do something else.
I kind of like that.
All right.
I'm not as accepting
with
quite
the
as I should.
Staff too. Like new things that we know are going to happen. They're going to have a full-time D-line coach eventually.
Terry
after the
Braden.
Chiefs finish up with Terry Braden, and they're going to have their secondary coach when Addison Williams
Right.
joins the staff. So they coach these games without 2 full-time position coaches.
Do they need another, Sean? Are they? I mean, special teams discussion aside, is there any other opening? They need?
I don't think so. I mean, obviously with tight ends,
Yeah, you wonder about that.
what happens there. Josh Martin, is still on the staff, and he coaches special teams now. He's not even with tight ends anymore. He was the tight ends coach the year before with Wager. But Allen wants to comment on the special teams coach.
Okay.
We've hit on that. Just wants to see some changes. Let's go to Matthew. My Carney bros need some comforting words going into the offseason. Could you explain why they should be optimistic for next season? Well, again, I do think the start of the schedule allows Nebraska, especially if they can win an Arrowhead, which ideally will be a sold-out Husker crowd, to get great momentum going into the Big Ten schedule. That's my first bit of optimism when I look at next year.
Well, and just look at this conversation we've just had about all the freshmen and sophomores that made significant plays and played the majority of the game. I mean, they have a very good young core that kind of got thrown into the fire a little bit this year. And that's kind of the sacrifice you have to make when you're trying to build the program the way Matt Rule is doing it. Those young guys go through their learning curve, but then they get better from it. And that's the hope that you got to have, is that all these, young faces, the Barneys, the Shavers, the Dillons, like those guys make that big jump going into their sophomore year. And then suddenly you have a foundation to build around.
Okay. Now let's continue this conversation, Rob and Sean. Think about the offense. Now you're going to have Dane Key probably as the starter. Dane Key, the Kentucky. I mean, he was a leading receiver at Kentucky. The leading receiver at Cal is coming in, and Isaiah Hunter. Then you have return Ja'Cory Barney, and you know what? I think at tight end with Heinrich and Carter Nelson, you're in really good shape probably, and Luke Lindenmeyer. Sean, keep going here. Then you have younger receivers in the program that are like Keelan Smith upcoming, Jalen Lloyd upcoming, Quinn Clark upcoming. I like what they have at quarterback, receiver. I am concerned about running back, and you have to address the offensive line. There are some, and then but on defense, don't have a lot of concerns. I mean, I think Nash and Ty are obviously going to be hard to replace, but man, they have some dudes up front.
Some young guys that played a lot of snaps this season.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. Mike comes in with a super chat of $20. Let's go into
thank you,
Big
Mike.
Red EDC 7-6, not so spectacular, but just happy to be on the right side of the tide for once.
It's perfectly
go
fine to feel
Big Red. And I think we all thought this team had 6 to 8 wins in them, and they kind of hit the middle.
Yeah. I mean, the line was 7 wins.
Yeah, I picked 7 and 5, so I was close, and they should have been 7.
And none of us diagnosed that the special teams issues were going to be this bad.
Yeah.
If we would have known that, it would have changed a lot of thoughts.
No, and they just the issue with that, and I don't mind readdressing it a little bit. It never got fixed.
No, that's my biggest problem.
Right, it never really got fixed, and it maybe for a few games it was like Rob always says, it's kind of acceptable. But we read those numbers, Sean. Those numbers don't lie. The numbers are the numbers.
10 block kicks.
Yeah, 10 block kicks plus all those numbers that I read off where they're ranked in the 100s in the key statistical areas. I mean, it just didn't.
Well, think about Rutgers. They blocked 2 punts, and Nebraska was able to get out of it. Their defense had one of the best goal line stands of the year. Purdue, they had multiple blocks.
It's the 3rd game they've won in spite of their special teams.
Great.
And even Colorado blocked one on them.
Great.
So those were big moments that they overcame to win those games.
10 blocked kicks.
Taylor, I listened to every reaction show this year, none better than this, except for after CU. Thank you for all you do. Which young player stood out the most in this game? And we've hit on a lot of this already.
What would you say? What would you say?
Shavers.
Yeah.
I think McGahee too is going to be in there.
God, those guys from Miami are good. I mean, I don't know what it is, Sean, about Miami.
Too.
Yeah, Shavers was really explosive.
Yeah, Shavers look dominant.
All right, let's go to John. All I wanted for Christmas was a new special teams coordinator. Too much to ask. Bring back Bill Bush. And look, we've addressed this a lot. There's really nothing there with Nebraska and Bill Bush.
No, I mean, I don't look for that.
I mean, there's no connection to him and Matt Rule, and I mean, It's just there's nothing at this point.
We'll see what Matt does with this. I Sean, I don't think You have all the sources, but I haven't heard anything.
Well, you work with the guy,
Yeah.
Coach Bush.
Oh, as far as Bush goes, no, there's nothing brewing there at all. But will Rule even make a move? I don't know.
I just go back to the quote: complete and total overhaul.
Yeah.
He was talking about the snapper and the punter.
I don't know if
and
that's
the
what he was
holder.
talking about, Sean. I think he was talking about a complete and total overhaul.
I go back to when he fired Satterfield. Look at the comments he made before that happened.
The only thing
I got
I
a
do
similar
find
vibe.
interesting is that Foley led the recruiting of these new specialists. That was
but could he still be on staff? Like you just mentioned,
in a different role.
Yeah. I mean,
Could be.
there's ways to finesse it.
I don't. It's becomes this sort of interesting conversation. I just would like to hear now. Rule, if he keeps him, will have to explain why.
Yeah.
And that would get interesting, I think.
Nate comes in. What a send off for Ramir and Ty. Here's to the seniors, especially those that stuck with the program in all kinds of weather. Go Big Red. And look, a lot of 6-year guys. Javen Wright, Ty Robinson,
Bullock.
Ramir Johnson,
Was Bullock?
John Bullock, Bryce Benhart. Ben Scott's a 6-year player, obviously only 2 at Nebraska, but he's got Nebraska ties to Columbus. So you had a lot of grown men.
What about how about Gifford?
Gifford is a 5th year.
5th year. Those guys, though, I'm really happy for. They've been through so much. I mean, just the Iowa game was a horrible loss. And then to come back and do this, I feel genuinely good for the older guys.
And remember too that they brought back a whole bunch of the guys from the 23 team, a bunch of seniors that Matt Rule paid on his own dime.
We
and we
visited with a lot of them.
Yeah, they were at our deal last night. Several of them.
Did we make a big enough deal of Rule doing that?
Probably not.
That Rule paid for all those guys, whoever wanted to, seniors from last year, to come here. That's a lot. That's a lot of money.
And Luke Reimer estimated he probably thought it was at least $50,000 that he paid for hotel and flights for all those guys.
And there those guys were at that gathering at the Brazen Tavern last
Tavern.
The Reimer, who was there? Reimer, Anthony Grant,
Joshua Fleet,
Nick Henrich,
Braden Clover,
Nick
Henrich, Garrett Snodgrass,
Phelan Sanford, all these dudes, all these
Billy
dudes.
Kemp.
Billy Kemp. You kept looking at all these guys from last year's team there. All came here because Rule paid for it. That's a hell of a
Nuri Noeli flew back from Germany.
And I don't know if you guys saw, there was a play. I think Ty Robinson made a tackle or something, like a big stop. And they were sitting in this section over here towards this corner of the end zone. And he gives like the little heart thing with his hands.
God bless him.
To the former players. So like I think it meant a lot for those guys, but I think it also meant for the seniors. That those teammates that they went through so much with that didn't get this opportunity to play in a bowl game, they got to kind of experience it vicariously because of Matt Rule.
Ty Robinson's become one of my all-time favorite Huskers. I mean, the fact that he hung in there,
he stuck it out. He stuck it out until literally the very last play. He was on offense, finishing out the bowl game as the fullback.
I'm telling you,
because we thought maybe he might like take it easy in the second half.
Well, that was the word. I mean,
and remember they started the first defensive possession or series of the second half. Ty Robinson wasn't out there, so we're like, all right, well maybe he's going to hang it up. But he comes back in right after I think Boston College had just scored. Or no, Nebraska turned it over, and he came in. He's like, no, I'm finishing this thing out.
I want to talk about those guys, not opt-outs.
Yeah.
Those are the guys I want to talk about.
All right, USMC Sully. Just wanted to say hi from North Carolina and thank you for all you do. Wow, thank you for your contribution.
God bless you, Sully.
To Husker Online Postgame Live. Huskers for life. We appreciate you guys. Looking forward to 2025. Go Big Red. Let's get some barbecue in Arrowhead in Kansas City next year.
Okay,
let's go.
You don't have to ask me twice.
Q39. That's where I'm going.
You throw out your barbecue plate. Everyone gives you a different.
Oh, I know.
I like Q39. I know Stubbs. I've heard, and I like Joe's. I mean, I grew up going to Gates. They're all good, but
I like Gates.
There's not a bad option. That's the best part.
Amy, Go Big Red from Falls City, Nebraska.
Okay.
So happy for MVP Ramir. His mama is definitely proud. What a reminder of the battles these kids fight that we have no idea about. I am ready for next season.
Amy.
Great point, Amy.
Great post, Amy. Thank you very much. $20.15.
We should pay you. Sean should pay you.
Yeah.
All right. We've got a couple of $1.99 bandits here, so I'm just going to go with Ben because I want to get tricked
that
here.
One's okay.
No, that one's fine. Ben drinking.
Cleaner. What does Merritt, aka the Cobra, fit in next year?
Ooh, where does the Cobra fit?
Is that his nickname, Cobra?
That's what I call it.
Sweet.
Dawson Merritt.
Yeah,
he's coming off shoulder surgery.
Okay.
So let's see where he's at coming off that.
Well, let's see where the Cobra fits. Let's see where Williams, say it, Sean,
Winery
fits. Let's see where that kid from Oklahoma by way of Indiana fits. What's his name?
McCullough.
Hey, Rob.
McCullough.
I've watched those guys on film, and I've said it before. They're oh damn guys, as in oh damn. I mean, they're guys.
Andrew Marshall.
Yeah, they got. I mean, those guys are going to play.
All right. We got one more sponsor I need to get in here. Husker Online Postgame Live. Again, we're brought to you by Zipline, their official beverage sponsor. Hopefully you are into your six-pack by now, enjoying a great postgame show here as we're in Yankee Stadium in the official radio booth of the New York Yankees. But we're also brought to you by Future Fans. And if you're not familiar with Future Fans, it is a great, great product for young football fans to teach them more about the game of football, to help them understand and learn about the game. I've got Future Fans. My young daughter, Carly, loves it. Just all the things that they bring with it. Lots of games and activities. It's important to teach the young people the game of football, how the game of football works. We've got a great, great promo with Future Fans as well. Check them out on their website, and you'll get 10% off your order of Future Fans. Thanks again to futurefans.com. Use the promo code Huskers to get that 10% off. Thanks to Future Fans for sponsoring us here on Husker Online Postgame Live. And we just had the door open behind us, so I'm getting the vibe that
it's like you guys are still here, huh? Kind of one of those.
So I'm gonna fly through some more super chats.
Yep. There's a man in a Yankees cap.
Oh yeah, the Yankee personnel is on us.
My John Sterling impersonation kind of set off some radars.
Got him fired up. Sterling here?
Matt comes in. Ramir lost his mom during the season. That kid is special.
Oh,
Thank
God.
you very much again for those comments. CZ comes in. $20 to hear Sipple say my name.
NCZ.
NCZ.
Since
Am I
Sean
okay on
is
that?
ignoring me.
NCZ. I think we're okay on that.
Yeah, I think we're okay. All right. Solly comes in with another big one. Would you guys consider creating an actual website and maybe hire a travel agency to help fans link up and attend Arrowhead game next year? I don't really think we need to involve a travel agency.
We tried the package for this one, but just
we got about 80 spots full for 150. And, I think if we would have waited longer, it might have had a chance to fill, but this was a very tough trip, for people to fly out. A very expensive trip to come out to New York City. Arrowhead's easy, great airport, lots of hotels. Chiefs aren't playing yet. That town will be taken over by Nebraska fans, so I'm not too worried about that. Let's see. Nick comes in with a Foley comment. Rule said in the past, Nico, that special teams needs an entire overhaul. Leave Foley at a gas station. All right. Thank you, Nico. Haywood, go Big Red. Enjoy the W. Mike.
Good job not saying that one.
Another live show, another donation to SIP's Martini Fund.
Martinis.
Ooh.
I don't even know if I've ever had a martini. It's possible I haven't, didn't know.
All right. Mr. Mitchell Jr. wanted to say thank you guys for everything you do. Now with the season over, what's your schedule like for the off season? Still twice a week podcast? Thanks. Actually, Mr. Mitchell,
we got to announce something.
We're going to go
Sean?
3 times a week, my boy.
This is an announcement.
So not every week, but I would say a good majority of the off season. We're going to take a few off season weeks off in terms of 3 shows, but our plan moving forward will be Monday headlines, Wednesday Husker Online show, Friday headlines. So we will try to go 3 days a week. And, weeks like July 4th, Memorial Day, spring break, there'll be some other weeks where we might just do 2 shows, but that's our plan. So we know the demand is there. The sponsorship is there as well for us to keep bringing you more shows, and we love doing it.
Got some hoops to talk too.
And you got hoops.
Yeah, we're gonna have a hoops team, I think, that's in the thick of that NCAA chase, right?
They're on track.
All right, David Jorgensen. Just have the feeling that 2025 is going to even be more of a breakout year with 8 to 10 wins, even with Ed on staff. Laughing out loud, I think he will still be on staff because maybe not a special teams coordinator. All right.
Could be.
Captain Android. Odds that our next O-line transfer commit post a pic of him doing the splits on Twitter. PS $4.99, so it's not a trap. All right.
I don't know the splits.
I don't know about that. What are you talking about, Sean?
Was that Hunter Anthony?
I don't know.
Yeah, there was an offensive lineman that Yes, I know what he's talking about. I can't remember the player.
I don't.
But a guy posted a commit graphic doing the splits as an offensive line.
Okay.
Cody, third down D was very concerning. And I wrote this in my post game. Boston College was 3 of 6 on third downs that were 9 or more yards.
That's crazy.
3 of 6. So they had 3 of those just backbreakers, but they were 0 of 4 overall. They converted 6 third downs, but 3 of them were of the nature of long distance.
Sean, it's a kind of a strange defense, Nebraska. They're so good like on third and short and fourth and short, but they're not as good in third and long.
Their package or whatever you want to, I mean, and that's where I think Phil Snow and John Butler.
Yeah, look at that.
They got to figure it out.
It was an issue all year. I mean, they were as good of a first and second down defense as anybody in the Big Ten at times.
Getting off the field was an issue last year and this year.
And the screen game today was kind of where
that's what you do when a team's bringing so much heat, though, right, Sean?
Yeah, but you look at this drive chart, the way they played for the most part, other than that one 64-yard drive. I mean, Nebraska's defense had a pretty strong game. I mean, in terms of
it did.
Oh yeah.
Let's go to 54 on tour. Thank you very much, John Morgan. Is it just me or does Sip look like Mr. Magoo?
I just don't.
Do we have any good O-line players coming in? And that's going to take care of itself. Nebraska will have they're going to get O-linemen because they're going to pay for them.
I'm going to change my angle here if I look like Mr. Magoo.
Sipple got a pretty sweet Peter Luger Steakhouse stocking cap, by the way.
So did you.
I did too. It's warm. It's almost too warm. I put it on. I was like getting hot.
You have a lot of issues, Sean.
A lot of issues. Dennis, McSafety, awesome job.
Hey, McSafety's a friend of mine.
Awesome job. You're the best post-game show out there.
You say that to all the post-game shows, McSafety. Thank you. He's a friend. He's a great man.
And I think we've been over like 1,500 live viewers. So we've had a pretty solid, I'll give you an update here where we're at right now, but we have been, let's see, we are at about 1,400 live viewers right now. So solid post-game numbers here on a Saturday in December. Adam, a big win in the first half. Heinrich Harburg looked great at tight end.
He does.
And his toughness was palpable when he touched the ball. Not timid at all.
No, I'm going to say something. Heinrich Harburg's going to be a great tight end.
I like that picture of him in that role. He's an athlete. And that what impressed me the most was that block. When it was a swing pass out to, I think it was Jalen Lloyd.
Okay.
And he just buried the defender. That's a former quarterback that just burying a go-big-red.
It's a physical quarterback.
Yes.
Remember it was just last year. He was a very physical quarterback.
All right, let's go Go Big Red hat room. Thank you very much. Lena Miller, what players came to the game on Matt Rule's dime? Did you guys get to interview any of them? Yeah, look, we didn't interview them, but we drank some cocktails with them.
How many are we talking about, you think?
Like 20. I mean, I think it was at least around 20 guys.
Again, we'll go through some of the names. Phelan Sanford we saw. We saw
Keegan Menning.
Grant. What?
Keegan Menning, Braden Clover.
Billy Kemp.
The kicker.
Timmy Bleekrode.
Nick Heinrich.
I didn't see Heinrich.
Yeah, he was there.
Garrett
Reimer was there.
Snodgrass, Reimer.
Nuri, Ashton Hausman.
Ethan Piper. So, I mean, that's at least
Grant Taggy.
Yeah, so it's probably closer to 20.
All those guys showed up.
That we know of.
All those guys showed up at the Brazen.
I'll tell you, Timmy Bleekrode was one of the funnest guys. You didn't really get to know him all that well, but man, the players love him.
Yeah.
We don't get to know players as much.
We used to.
Yeah. We just don't. We don't get much.
He was a quiet guy with us, but I think when he's in his comfort zone, he's a pretty funny dude.
Seldom do you do. I think people are semi-interested. We don't do a lot of one-on-one interviews anymore.
Not at all.
Right.
It's pretty controlled in that sense. Matt comes in. What key areas should Nebraska football address after their bowl game to improve performance, including coaching strategies, player development, and recruiting efforts? Obviously, special teams. Obviously, their third down package
on defense.
And I think just
run game. I think
finding more explosive plays in the offense.
Good point.
I believe that the previous super chatter identified something critical. They have to find more firepower in the run game. Yep. Dylan doesn't run much. So you need a back that can carry a heavy load. Now Emmett's good. Emmett's a good back. You need another two. I think you need two more. You need someone right on the roster right now to raise his level. And then I don't know. I think you could go get somebody else.
Scott's Tots.
Sean doesn't seem like do you disagree with me on that?
in the running game.
that you need another running back.
They do. I mean, unless you think Jamarian Parker is going to help, but
It's tough to lean on that kid like that.
Scott's Tots with the new JUCO rule, can Singleton return now? Look, as far as we know, he's not planning on it. He's already committed to play in the East-West Shrine All-Star game. So
I wouldn't look for him to be back.
like it's I don't know. This is not something that's been brought up. Mac, Sean, you're at a bowl game, aren't you? I'm very happy. I'm sitting in John Sterling's chair in Yankee Stadium.
This has been an amazing week. You didn't know what we didn't know what we were getting into coming out to New York, but I'd say from start to finish for us, it's just been an amazing week.
No doubt.
Christopher, thank you, Sean, Sip, and Robin for all the analysis, insight, and humor throughout the season. Go Big Red. And that's what we try to do. I mean, we like to have fun, and we try to be.
You don't even have to try to be funny.
We try. Well, we want to talk Husker football in an insightful yet entertaining way. And I think that's what we've captured with this show.
I had somebody at the Brazen tell me last night that I was the guy that kind of steadies the ship a little bit. You guys,
you are.
Things rock back and forth, and I just try to keep it all together.
Okay.
Kenny,
You're the youngest too.
perspective, no winning season since 2016. If a DF student finally earns a 2.5 GPA from a 1.0, celebrate that. Stop crying. They didn't get a 4.0. Good take. I think that's a strong take. That
Well, kind of. I mean, if you set the bar low enough, you'll never.
A 1.0 still gets you on academic probation.
Yeah. If you set the bar low enough, you'll always achieve. But again, I'm not pouring cold water on
I get
this.
his point. I get his point.
we got a 4.99 band in here, and I'm not gonna fall for
You
this
got
one.
You got a live one?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that name.
Oh yeah.
How big of a
don't.
change will we see Dana make to the offense? Good one though. Good try.
You guys are unbelievable.
You went a little too. I mean, you tried to dress that up as like an international name. It just didn't work out for you though.
How is Dana going to do that offense? He's simplifying it. That's the biggest thing. He has simplified. He has cut down the playbook dramatically. That's the biggest thing. He's talked about how Rule wants an offense that's NFL friendly, that helps guys get to the NFL. So how you can conjure up a lot of things in your mind. I don't think it's going to be anything that's any changes that are overly dramatic. I just think mainly it's going to get cut down. You're going to have a more simplified playbook and a more defined identity
and a continuation of what they've been doing. Think about it, a full off season now with Dana. He's been just going pretty much game to game outside of this month of bowl practices. Now he gets to sit down with Dylan and the rest of his key offensive pieces and really kind of formulate what this plan is going to be for the long term.
And Dana doesn't want you to use air raid.
No,
he's been very clear.
Not air raid.
Dana wants to run the offense that scores points with the best players you have.
Yeah, he will work around personnel.
Dana, I believe long term, he's thinking the next step for him is possibly an NFL OC.
And they don't run air raid in the NFL.
Nope.
Hey, listen, that's an interesting take, Sean. And I think you might be right. I don't know that, but he's not running air raid. That's the key.
David Jorgensen said he thought that possibly it was George Costanza trying to barge in the HuskerOnline live behind us there. But we've got one more, and we probably do have to wrap it. I think we're the last people in Yankee Stadium. We got two more, I guess. Oh, we got more than that, actually. Son of a gun. I thought we were.
Let's just whip through.
Let's see here.
Whip through.
Big Red EDC. So much good young talent showcase today. Go Big Red.
Yep.
Go Big Red Hat Room. Yankee Stadium has had a lot of history, but it's a really, really bad place to play a football game if it affected the quality of the play. He's probably talking about the footing.
Yeah, the weather was an issue.
I mean, a lot of that was just, if it didn't rain, I think the footing would have been fine. But it rained up to kickoff. Then it started raining during the game. It wasn't great conditions, but it wasn't terrible. The wind wasn't whipping. It was 40 degrees.
It was just the field.
Yeah.
The slick field.
It was slick.
All right. Harburg at tight end will be fun to watch.
Yes.
It'll be a beast. Yeah, I think that's been a great move. And I saw
it's exciting.
He was down there with his the volleyball player.
Harper
Murray was down here after the game, and she had a custom made coat, kind of like you see Patrick Mahomes' wife and Taylor Swift wear. She was wearing that down there on the field.
Nice.
All right, we got one more.
He's a big piece of this program.
I think we got to wrap it up. We got one more guy come in here. So, Sip, I haven't heard you talk in a while. Happy holidays. I hope Raiola plays better next year. Hope we can get some big-time O-linemen and another running back. Amen.
Agreed.
Amen.
God bless. Well, guys,
Yep. Let's wrap it
that
up.
wraps up Husker Online Postgame Live for 2024. We did 2 live shows for you out here in New York. Enjoyed every bit of it. Thank you for joining us on Husker Online Postgame Live. We will be back next week. Regular schedule next week. We're just going to do the 2 shows. And I think after next week, we'll probably roll into a 3-show schedule. But thank you again for a great year, great season, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. It was fun.
All right. Well, thanks to our producer, Megan Gunther, back in Omaha as well, and the work that she does behind the scenes, making us look a lot better than we are.
Best in the business.
For Steve Sipple, Robin Washington, I'm Sean Callahan, signing off for Husker Online Post Game Live.